Welcome back to the Freeaboos podcast. It's your boy Jeff.
And Austin.
We're trying out a bit of a new style. Instead of being in person, we're now actually doing this one online. So forgive for any technical difficulties we've got going on. We are looking at our episode number 11, but the anime review episode 1129. And boy, oh boy,
entitled "Puma's Past: Better Off Dead in This World." That's a.
They were not kidding. Good
very
grief.
Title.
So.
But
yeah.
First things first. Just we start off on Egghead. At the end of 1128, Bonnie stabbed a Gorosei, which would probably be the first time a Gorosei's been attacked by someone in roughly 38 years, give or take. I wonder why I'm saying 38.
Well, hint, hint. We have a pretty good idea of possibly the last time a Gorosei was assaulted, and it goes really hard for all of 2 seconds because Bonnie has this really dramatic jump. She stabs. She almost buries that thing with the friggin' hilt, and it's Saint Saturn. He doesn't even really move, and he comes back with this hard line that is maybe 50% messing with her and 50% like actually just aura farming. Like, if I wanted to dodge it, I would have moved out of the way. It's like, good grief, dude.
If I was worried about it, I would have moved.
And like,
I mean, it's kind of like Kaido. What was it like? That's almost like Kaido's mindset a little bit. Like,
I mean, yeah.
He didn't care about the little blows, but like he did dodge some of the bigger attacks from Luffy.
Well, like,
so it's like, I don't care. It's gonna hit.
Kaido went like years and years without a singular person who could meaningfully harm him, and probably not to the same extent, but we get a very, very similar vibe because he drops some friggin' mind hockey on Bonnie and just pushes her off like he's got the frickin' force. And
he uses his eye hockey, just blows her away a little bit, catches her, and I said this when we were watching it, like, I don't know what it is, but I know it's probably just sort of like, but he looks like Mr. Water, like his hands at the bare minimal, he kind of looks like Mr. Waternoose from Monsters, Inc., and like the discoloration of Saturn's demon hands versus how we had normally seen him when he's chilling in the Gorosei's Alice room thing.
Oh yeah,
it was a nice touch to show that.
So we get this.
Yeah, he has this eye hockey, which I don't know if it's like Ryu advanced armament or.
Well, like this is
hockey, or if it's some type of power, which I'm not sure.
I'm like 1,000,000,000% sure. We haven't really seen anything like this in One Piece. The only thing that I can really think of that really reminds me of it is a Dragon Ball reference when in the Tournament of Power, Jiren just blinks at people and they fall down, like literally blows them off their freaking feet. And so we have a moment of Saint Saturn just bink, and she falls. He catches her. The sword comes out too, and he just sucks the blood back into the hole, which is disgusting.
I don't know if it goes back in him or what, but it just, which is the first time that the Gorosei's regeneration powers have been shown.
I'm
going to be very interested to see how they do the further regeneration effects.
And for sure,
they'll be coming soon in terms of like him losing limbs and stuff. I'd be interested. Yeah, spoilers for the future because we read the manga.
Oh yeah.
But like he loses limbs, so I want to see how they animate that regeneration and stuff.
Oh, it's gonna be. It's kind of wild, and like we're getting everything we learned about the Gorosei is just more and more little spoilers for just how unbelievably powerful they are. So we have our magic teleportation circle, which that is unbelievably revolutionary for One Piece, and that like you have theoretically unlimited travel across the globe, or at least, pretty dang far straight up teleportation. We have a whole lot of like One Piece where like, the anime fights and like they teleports behind you, nothing personal, kid, where like they're just moving really fast. This is a straight up teleportation circle. And we see the Holy
Yeah,
Knights have that as well, and that's how they get into Elbaf. Again, more manga spoilers, but it's just kind of important for
yeah.
calculating the five elders and how crazy they are. So on top of straight up teleportation, and some crazy looking demon form that seems to be some kind of awakened mythical like monster zone.
Mythical zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be because like later on he does avoid getting launched towards the water. So to me that does indicate devil fruit, but doesn't confirm it. But let's face it, it's like if you're avoiding the water, it's probably a devil fruit.
Oh yeah. And just
And
from
also, while Saturn continues to aura farm, he eye diffs Sanji, causes Sanji to be blown back, bloodied, and then this is like post Germa awakening Sanji.
which like
So
to
this
knock him
is
down and
a
kind
more
of
durable Sanji.
yeah, like this is the same guy that Queen would have beheaded, but broke his frickin' sword off of. To knock him down like he's just like a fart in the wind, and for Sanji to just actually take damage from that is bonkers. You know, I know we all have our moments where it's like, all right, Toei's conspiring against Sanji, but like, I don't think this is
No,
that.
this
Like, I think our boy just legit met a force he couldn't, muscle right through.
was not Toei doing bullshit. That's what happened in the manga. Toei probably relished in doing it, so they could not agenda piece him. It's just like that happens.
And all things
Uh,
considered, like we have a quick like establishment of the pecking order on this, and that Sanji is probably fourth, fifth strongest person on this island at the moment. Like he just
Oh god, let me see here.
not to power scale.
If Sanji had no morals in terms of that he would actually hit women, he's above all the vice admirals. Below Kizaru,
Below Luffy
below
and
Saturn, below Luffy, below Zoro. I don't want to hear his Sanji boy. He's below Zoro.
just to downplay him for a minute, probably
the only-
below Lucci, maybe.
No, I low-key think he could beat Lucci.
We'll kind of place it like this. So we have
Yeah. It would be the highest of high diffs or the lowest of extreme diffs. Well, I think Sanji would beat Lucci.
yeah, because I can see that, but they're definitely relativistic in that like
The gap between them is not far.
a tired out Zoro
And
didn't
the
fucking
wild
shit on
card-
him.
The wild card in terms of pecking order of strength on Egghead is the Seraphim.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about the Seraphim. That is kind of a problem.
Like, I don't know, like
They don't comfortably
you have
fit into.
S-
Like, we have
you have S Shark, you have S Snake, you have S Hawk, and S Bear on Egghead.
and the Seraphim they're a gigantic problem for power scaling. I'm just gonna kind of put them to the side for a minute because they've been we're gonna say neutralized, and that they're just not a problem for the moment.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
have
they're off the board, but yeah, they're definitely hard to peg in terms of power strength.
let's
but,
just go ahead and re-rattle this off. We have let's just say Saint Saturn, Kizaru, Luffy.
Yes,
We're gonna say Zoro's stronger than Sanji,
yes, he's fifth.
and then we'll put Lucci close enough.
Jinbei, that-
I think Sanji's stronger than Jinbei, but like there isn't a whole lot to really back that up.
the gaps between Sanji, Lucci, and Jinbei, in my opinion, are very small.
Yeah,
The
Wano
gap
really did
between
change everything.
Sanji and Zoro is larger to me than the gap between Sanji and Lucci.
Yeah, for sure. That's for sure how it is. So
Okay, I still think it's a relatively close gap between Zoro and Sanji, but I would say if Zoro's an 80, Sanji's 78, Lucci's like 76 and a half, Jinbei's like a 76.
yeah, it's just, like charitably counting this. Sanji's number 5. Sanji is
Yeah.
number 5 on this island, and counting the guy that hit him, we now have a very, very, very narrow range of people who could reasonably take him.
Yeah.
And, it's not, he
But,
didn't like, it's not like Sanji's down for the
speaking
count.
and yeah, it's not getting one tapped by a demon, literally, is nothing to be like put down on Sanji. It's just
Getting beat up by one of the strongest people on the planet, it's not a count against them. And speaking thereof, quite specifically, actually,
speaking of Kizaru,
speaking of Kizaru, our guy,
Saturn looks at him like, this is very sluggish work by your standard Kizaru. Like, Kizaru has his hand on his face, and he's like,
homie is laid
I
out.
got fucked up. And he, like, Toei actually, in my opinion, did a very good thing here, because I don't know if it was clear in the manga, but you literally see Kizaru shaking.
Yeah, that counts a lot.
He gave him in the last episode. And he's like, I'm not going to be able to move for a bit.
Having been in such a position, you gotta have a shout out that he has the mental clarity to be like, my bell is rung, I'm not getting up soon. I'll be fine, but I'm not fighting anytime soon. And for that to come from someone like Kizaru, who even with his heart definitely out of this fight, he's still one of the toughest people on the friggin' planet. And granted, he got clocked by Gear 5 Luffy as hard as he can with the goofiest look. His fist goes like 3 feet through the side of his head, some kind of cartoon style. Like, you know what? Yeah, that's worthy enough to have just a few minute intercession. Luffy himself is out here in old man mode, sprawled out, be like, whoa.
Yeah. And Saturn goes to kill him.
Man,
Try to deal with the problem.
Straight to business.
Frankie with a W. Okay, he punches Luffy out of the way, but
he's made of rubber. He's
he saves
fine.
Luffy. Yeah.
And we get a moment to reflect on the new voice actor. He's starting to grow on me.
Yeah. Again, I don't think he has said super yet.
He's definitely held off on it, and you know what? I kind of respect it that this man's probably grinding for this in the background, like a metal vocalist or something. Because the next time, when he drops it, it's got to be perfect. And
it's got to be a super.
It has to be a super. And
that Frankie laughs that, wow, even the motherfuckers who run this damn world want to kill my captain. Hell yeah.
Which,
and Saturn's
gotta love
actually shocked that, he's like, oh, you guys are actually pirates that work together and are friends?
Keeping it a buck, there aren't many pirate crews that actually work very well together. Like, of the 3 I can really think of, we have the Straw Hats, we have the Whitebeard Pirates, and we have Shanks' crew. And from there, it breaks down pretty fiercely. Like, next in line would be the Law Pirate, the Heart Pirates for Law, and it is just the Law show on that ship.
I would argue the Big Mom Pirates, actually.
You know what? Yeah, that's actually a better example.
The captain was not treating her crew well. The siblings were actually very caring of each other.
That is true.
So I actually think they're literally a family, so they get along pretty well. I just think especially with Katakuri in charge now, it'll be very interesting to see how they kind of run things now.
I'll throw a tentative shout out to Beji. Beji and the Mafia Pirates.
Fire Tank Pirates.
Fire Tank, my bad.
No, you're not wrong with Mafia Pirates. Fire Tank is a very random name given their motif, their style, But
I wonder if that's some kind of translational thing, but neither here nor there. They do work together fairly well. We're family, and then they're a literal family. But since then, we actually have very little into Beji. If maybe Whole Cake was something of a one-off, and they just kind of, left into the sunset.
Unironically, the Thriller Bark Pirates. Say what you will, but at very least, Corona and Moria.
They worked similarly towards a common goal, but in terms of like cooperation, I mean, they felt like even on the island they felt very far apart for the same exact goals. And that's kind of the
Yeah.
issue with Gecko Moira is that
There.
the reason he revived all these zombies was because his first crew got murdered by Kaido. And so
Yeah.
Perona and oh, what is his name? That's the pervert.
Absalom.
Absalom the pervert. They worked under the same guy. They didn't stop each other. They didn't fight each other. But like, in terms of actually cooperating and like synergizing, they didn't do that. They didn't have these nice moments like we have with Frankie and Luffy saving each other. I mean, we get better moments of that from Law and Beppo being the only other named crew member of the Heart Pirates I can even think of who would work together and fight together.
John Hart.
I don't even know if I know who that is. Keeping it a buck.
He's the one that he's the big one that they rescued from Saba Odi,
Ah, okay.
the former slave.
Thinking of some counterexamples like, Kid's crew. You have Killer, who,
Kid Killer, and then the rest.
yeah, the lot of them just, it really is just the captain's show, and then everyone else has to fall in line or else, like, suffer their wrath.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do have a kind of a moment just to reflect upon the way a lot of other pirate groups do not coordinate, cooperate, and
Yeah.
act together. And it's a nice moment to reflect upon.
One thing that a lot of,
Oh, go
I
ahead.
think one thing a lot of things the One Piece fans forget is that we always think, oh, Marine's bad, the Navy's bad. I don't agree with that. They're antagonistic, and yes, there are some evil Marines. Comma, it's actually few and far between of the evil Marines.
Well, I
At least
think
remember, they are going after pirates. Like just because we follow the Straw Hats and we know the Straw Hats are good people, but they are not. But for the most part, pirates are assholes.
I think just following up on the precisely is that like I think our perspective is really weighed down by the fact that we follow the best pirate group on the sea, and that like they are a family, they are found family, they fight together, they will die together. For any one of the crew, they are literally homies. They have connections, they have bonding time.
Mm-hmm.
But for a lot of other pirate groups out there, this is not the case. Like when they show up somewhere, it means they're going to be terrorized, they're going to be robbed, they're probably going to be hurt, and it's why most pirates have the reputation they do. It's not an unearned ill association for pirates. The good pirates are truly the exception, and that like
Yeah.
you know uh,
And I think it's important to remember that with One Piece. That's why they're so. That's why Marines are so gun ho on going after the Straw Hats, but also all pirates. Is that pirates are evil for the most part in One Piece.
yeah, the overwhelming majority of pirates are rat bastards. But returning back to it, we have a little reflection in that Sanji, still bleeding, wakes up. We have Dr. Vegapunk, we have Frankie, we have all together. Our boy Frankie manages to... Atlas 2. We save our boy Luffy, and we just have a moment to reflect, and that, like, holy crap, this really is the toughest guy.
Yeah. And then we also, but then like Saturn auras Luffy away from Frankie, and then I don't know if it's part of his devil fruit power or if it's something else or some type of demonic power, but we see this like blue, and not like aura, it's an aura form, literally like a blue aura envelop the Straw Hats and Vegapunk, basically cementing them in place, making them unable to move. And in the manga, it wasn't as depicted as well to actually show like why they couldn't move. So I think Toei adding this aura film like thing to visualize that they are being frozen
That is
by
very helpful.
Saturn was, and
It's very helpful to see that
then
the anime can help out the manga occasionally, especially with colors and stuff. Another thing we always complain about is when hockey is happening, like versus when it isn't. And whether this is a hockey moment or not, it's not clear, but it's definitely not like normal. Something has definitely happened to them,
yeah,
and it looks blue shifted almost.
hmm yes, and Saturn looks back to Bonnie is like, "I'm gonna kill you," and then we see the start of the flashbacks.
it
And first off, I love the um, style. Like
it's like
it's more like a pastel, almost like a crayon
it's a
drawing,
sketchy thing
very
going on,
childlike.
and I think it's from the perspective of Bonnie because she's colored
Yeah,
in and Kuma is not, and considering she's 12, right? She's 12 currently. Uh,
currently 12, but obviously Adair is like 4 or 5 or something.
yeah, she's substantially younger in this, and because she's the colored one, and I imagine this is from her perspective, and we have two things happening at the same time, which is again a very Oda thing to do, and that we have this nice little memory of Kuma dancing with Bonnie, and like this is the song of the warrior of liberation, and he's dancing and beating at the same time, and it's very cute because Bonnie's very excited. This is again, she's being told a story of liberation of someone who will come to save her, which he very literally did. Uh, Luffy's saved her life quite literally, like currently, and he's going to
Yeah,
a couple of times throughout the
yeah.
upcoming episodes. But
But with the crayon transition, we then begin seeing Uma's story. That's legit, or it's not legit nice. We see the birth of Kuma. Kuma, different even as a baby.
he's freaking gigantic. As a baby, he
Yeah, I
again we're looking at scale from One Piece, and that's a bit of an issue, but it's followed up on in some substantial quantities. In that, like, baby looks like a 20-pound baby. Um, Austin, you
yeah, it's
mentioned
a
this.
big boy
He's a big boy. Shout out to Kuma's mom for giving birth to a 20-pound friggin' baby,
or higher.
or higher. We get to see
Oh,
Kuma's
yep,
dad,
A tier womb scaling again.
at least. At least.
I like how that womb scaling is a running joke on our channel. I love that.
Well, we get a look at Kuma's dad, who is huge, and it's very obvious that
Yeah.
he's where the Buccaneer genes come from. And
hmm
we get notice on this from the doctor that gives birth to Kuma, and then it's like, "Hey, can we just kind of keep this under the wraps?" And the doctor, top guy, was like, "You know what? Don't worry about it. We're gonna keep this. We're gonna keep this a secret, just between us." And it's a very nice, happy family. And some background information that it's not touched on very much just because things are flying through. It's very clearly some kind of church. I don't know if it's Kuma's father or mother or
Yeah,
both that
so
are.
we so good.
Yeah, there's some kind of clergy at this place, whether they are, the leaders or just they're
Yeah.
there. Um, it gives us some insight into the way the actual worship of Nika is passed down, and that is actually there's
I don't
some
know if
aspects
it's
of it that are
Nika or
formalized.
if it's some other religion because like going into like One Piece, it's actually very clear that like they're like I mean there's a lot of like religious undertones and other aspects like Mihawk's all his crosses and other aspects and stuff.
Hmm.
So I don't know if it was a church of Nika, but it's definitely a church of something.
Yeah, they're some sort of religious figures, and obviously, if they live in a church, it's probably pretty devout, pretty strong. And we get a bit of a fast forward, and that it's like when Kuma's, I think he said he's 4, that the government ends up rolling back in because they found out, they must have found out that there is a Buccaneer somewhere. The doctor runs out to get a hold of Kuma's family ASAP. Was like, I'm sorry, you need to leave. You need to run ASAP. And they're like, what do you mean? But Cypher Pole was right behind them. Does not even matter.
And it seemed to be a bunch of NPC Cypher Pole agents, but they still capture the dad and everyone.
It's very clear that they're not fighters or anything.
No. He did pick a fight, but it didn't matter. They were captured, and thus began the torment of Kuma and all. Like, we do see this, like, his mom comforting Kuma, who's playing with a chains, which that is, you have to remember, I think Kuma was only like 4 years old at the time that they were captured.
Yeah, he's, just beyond a toddler.
It does make sense that he's playing with the chains, which it's nice that, and the mom's comforting him, and
he's nearly as big as she is at this point, at 4 years old.
Yeah, at 4 years old, he's about the same size as his mom. But they get taken up to Marie Joie, and they get separated.
They are separated basically immediately. Mom goes one way, Dad goes another, and Kuma goes a third.
Yeah.
It would be even more heartbreaking if Kuma wasn't, 4 years old and not really capable of understanding the separation of the family and what that means. Like, our boy's having the roughest of time. As a slave for Celestial Dragons, he's treated, I think, precisely like a pack mule. They're putting tons and tons of gold on his shoulders just for him to move around. They're like, for just like a kid, he's super strong. Like, yeah. Throwing, it's like literal gold bullion in like crates for him to walk around with.
And other precious belongings and other signs of riches.
Oh, yeah.
But even the Celestial Dragons do have what I would call a slave rest area, i.e. more like an area for slaves to gather when they're, this feels disgusting to say, when their owners are, doing their own thing, they're talking to each other. The slaves have their own area to, I wouldn't say mingle, but just
to be away from the site.
Yeah.
It's
and so Kuma Kuma and his dad bump into each other there, and Kuma is happy to see his dad. He does say, like, my master is very kind and stuff, which I think Kuma's dad can read between the lines, but
he's
whatever.
The time gap between, like, how long, like, when he was first picked up and how long he's been here is not very clear, especially because Kuma looks very similar.
But I would probably say a couple months if I had to take a wild guess.
And where we're sort of thinking about this is that, like, Kuma he's developing as a young man, and he's kind of really starting to hang on to these formative memories of being a slave and kind of figuring out that he has a specific place up in Mary Joie, and that is to be beneath the heel of slavers. Like, very horrible thing for, like, a 4 or 5 year old to really figure out. But where things really kind of come apart is that the first thing, like, I said, like, hey, how are you doing? He's like, and he follows up, how's mom?
He knows that he can't say, and then, he asks about his mom, and dad has to, I think his dad's name is Clapp, Clapp. Anyway, his dad sits him down, is like, your mom dead, she's in heaven now, she's in a better place. And Kuma
understandably crashes out.
Right. And I want to give a very, very quick shout out to the voice actor.
Oh my gosh, man!
no, I'm gonna mispronounce the name horribly. Okamoto. That's the last name, and he is killing it. Like the voice work, the screams, the cries, the visceralness
Oh,
is amazing.
the
And
depth and loss that you can hear in the character's voice is just, it's harrowing.
yeah, and just major props to him. Like I got if he's not at least nominated for a voice acting award somewhere this year, it is a travesty.
Oh, 100%. And actually, speaking thereof, the travesty continues. Because it kind of
Yes,
like hard cuts
not
from that.
the same day, but they,
And
Kuma and his dad are hanging out in a different area than where Kuma's dad tells him his mom died. And Kuma's dad's like, but don't worry, son, it's all gonna be okay because Nika will come and save you. He will take you out to the freedom of the sea and to the warmth of the sun and all that stuff. And his dad begins like
he
singing the song and doing the Nika dance. Dum, dum, dum,
and it's a
dum.
really nice moment of like
Uh,
the tradition has been passed down from father to son. And like this, the warrior of liberation will come and save you. This is what he would be like, and he is
yeah.
killed for his trouble, like on the
So
spot.
before he dies, he does say passed down from generations in the Buccaneer race. So there is important to note that the Buccaneers are connected to Nika in some way.
Oh yeah,
Oh, I don't know how long, but a long time.
but
But yeah, it's a very like it's a cut off. Like you see the Celestial Dragon walking down the hall with his gun, and like Bakuma's smiling up at his dad, and the anime just does this cut shot of it. You hear the gunshot, and the blood just splatters onto
uh,
Kuma.
it's
It
horrific.
it's horrific, and it's like it's so shocking that I can see like how some people just give out a burst of laughter, like holy shit! It's
Just
like
from the shock.
not that you find it funny, but just you're so shocked, your body just laughs at it. Because again, you don't find it funny. It's just that like it's a reaction to the shock.
I, it is, it is meant
And
to be a traumatizing moment of surprise, and that he's just having a moment with his dad, but for a celestial dragon, he's just taking care of a noisy issue. That's enough of that. Bam.
so
Ooh.
I cannot wait for the celestial dragons to get theirs. That will
Oh.
be a glorious day. I don't want any form of redemption. Minimal. I want them to lose everything. I don't care if they don't have to die,
Just
but I
irredeemable
just want
evil.
them to lose everything. Marie Joie gone. All their
Their wealth,
possessions
their
and
power, their
belongings
connections,
gone.
gone.
Nothing. I want them to be the scum that they think fishmen are. I want them to be beneath scum. Like,
It, that one day that will come. We might be old men by then, but one day that will come, and it will be. Mmm. And actually, speaking thereof,
don't
we're gonna use this picture probably forever now, just because we get reference of it.
purpose
God
title.
Valley,
It, it just it just randomly cuts to God Valley,
titled.
and I didn't realize I kind of forgot this, but it was literally just an island called God Valley. It wasn't even like a moniker or nickname the Celestial Dragons gave it or the world government gave it. It was that's literally just the name of this island, and it was unaffiliated with the world government.
Which is very interesting,
So
because the the celestial dragons have shown up, and I guess they were playing a
yeah,
game without telling the king of, let's go hunt the locals. Uh,
yes, so we hear it's a triannual event, so something that occurs once every 3 years. which is very interesting. We'll circle back to that in about a minute or so, probably. But yeah, so the celestial dragons pick a random island or area once every 3 years, give or take, probably, because maybe some years they can't find something or there are other logistical challenges that even celestial dragons can't overcome. Novel concept.
Yeah, but they show up and it's like, all right, we're gonna hunt the locals for points, whatever those even are.
They will also bring in slaves and criminals to hunt as well. I guess to spice it up, because what's the challenge in some local yokel?
Well, where it gets really funny is that like
But
we have this one absolute baller of a king. Actually, Prof. Rub was like,
and he's like,
"Excuse
and
me, what?"
well, he's like, "Fuck you guys. We're people. We are not going to let you do this."
Like, you can't just go killing my citizens.
And
Well,
like,
we get it. We get a
you
nice.
can't do this because we're unaffiliated, which is it's interesting. Like, I guess as part of that it just makes it seem like the world government's a mafia. The heavenly tribune that affiliated countries pay to the world government, that's just protection money.
From them.
So that, yeah, and that's really just some mafioso racketeering bullshit.
I'm reminded of some real life parallels that we're not going to talk about here now. But that's neither here nor there.
Yes. But going back to the fact that it's a triannual, in the world of One Piece, like from Luffy in a barrel to Egghead has been 3 years.
But also, some ad baculum math. Specifically, the event we're looking at was 38 years ago. And I'm not very good at counting. But 38 is almost divisible by 3. 39 is divisible by 3,
Yep.
so just quick maths. We're kind of due for another one of these
year
events.
off. Yeah, 38 years ago from the present, which would mean
There was
in the world of. So when Luffy was in the barrel, and kicking Crocodile's ass,
one of these was like either
that
like
would've-
just
that
happened,
would've just been happening. Yeah,
like had
that,
just
so that
happened or was
same
happening.
year- yeah, so like the same year that Luffy's on his journey, attacking Enies Lobby, dealing with Foxy, first encountering Dorian Brody, sometime and up to Marineford.
We have East Blue
Although-
shenanigans.
Although potentially because of Marineford, they may not have been able to hold it, because they do employ the Navy to provide protection for this, and there is no way that the Navy could have
Just thinking of the timing
done
of it, from the time with
It would
which
be-
like Luffy,
depend, but
like Luffy in the Barrel, like episode 1 to Marineford was, I think, in universe, 6 months, give or take, 6
Yeah.
to 8 months. So like, if it must have happened like right around the time Luffy set sail, or it was about to happen at Marineford, and that's my general guess. Like, it's probably one of those two. But
Yeah.
more importantly, since we would know even less about that, we're due in universe for another one of these events to happen. And, well, Luffy is finally big and strong enough to be like, actually, this is disgusting, and you people are evil for this. Luffy as a Yonko could show up to an event like this and be like, no, you're not going to do this, and I can stop you. As of yet to be seen with the power of God's Knights in Elbaf, but, like, it's certainly possible that he could interrupt such an event, and given Luffy's, we'll call it his constitution and tolerance for such shenanigans, he would 100% walk on and be like, you're not going to lay hand on these people, or I'm going to hurt you myself.
especially if the people feed him.
Especially if people feed him. But returning to this for a moment, well, the One King...
We get the anime, but going back to the base king, he's giving this, how dare you treat us like rabbits and dogs to be put down. A figure goes forward, slashes him, and kills him.
On the spot.
and we get the anime. Well, I'm not gonna say debut, but we see Prime Figureland Darling,
And he looks exactly like
and
Shanks with a stupid haircut.
he's blonde. And I know you said his outfit is gas. I can't take him seriously.
It's so stupid, I
Like,
love it. The fit goes hard to me.
I, I,
If it was like,
I said this last night when we were watching it. He looked like Call Saul and Napoleon Bonaparte's wardrobe got together and had a baby.
yeah, it does. It's loud. I can't even deny it's loud. Doesn't really mesh, but like very clearly based on the Celestial Dragons, these people are almost aliens in the way they look and act and dress. And he has, I don't even know what to call it for a haircut because he's supposed to be, I guess, moon shaped. Like his hair
Yeah,
is like this big old swoop. It's like a scorpion stinger almost, except like
It's more bent inward, if that makes sense.
yeah, it's whatever.
But I do find one thing interesting here that I just now saw and I didn't really realize it. So the Celestial Dragons are all wearing those dumb, stupid bubble helmet things that Charles was wearing on Saba Odi and stuff.
Hmm.
Tigerland's not.
What was that?
Tigerland is not wearing the bubble helmet.
True. It
And
seems none of
even
the
on
God's Knights
Elbaf,
do.
yeah, and even on Elbaf, the only one that has a weird bubble helmet thing is Saint Q. But even then, I don't think that's the same mindset of, oh, I can't breathe this non-holy air.
Well, we
It
also
just might be more like how his fruit interact or something. But I do find it interesting that the God's Knights don't have those helmets.
well, just as well as the
Those
Goros say don't
bubble
wear them either.
helmets.
Which, like, I feel
Yeah,
that's
Saturn didn't have that on in the ship or anything either.
no.
Which
The
I
implications of
I
that are
think
hard.
it does establish like you have three layers of celestial dragons. You have your base of like the Charloses and all these motherfuckers that got the bubble helmets. Then you got like the Holy Knights, and then you got the Gorsei and Emu. But the Holy Knights and the top, like they at least they get their hands dirty enough, but they don't care about the air, or something. I don't know. It's very interesting to see like the dichotomy there in a way.
Oh yeah, one day we're gonna actually get a full-on exploration of the sociology and the life and times of celestial dragons. But until then, I'm just gonna assume they're goofy and snooty, and that's why they do that. But we have a funny little
Yeah.
line that comes from the announcer of the competition. It's like, for killing the king out of turn before everyone else get to start, Saint Figureland Garland starts with negative 10,000 points. They're like, oh, that's
And
a suitable
Fiddler
handicap.
Darling just kind of establishes he is a problem by saying, "Oh, that small handicap at least is going to provide a challenge." Like, oh, okay, so he's a straight up demon who would probably have won if he didn't have that handicap. Okay.
Well, just taking a quick assumption, thinking even about, like, just a way bit of a throwback all the way to, like, Luffy at Fishman Island. He popped Conqueror's hockey enough to make how many thousands of people just pass out? Hardened pirates pass out on the spot? Like 10?
Fishman Island, he dropped 50,000.
50,000. So if there's a relatively dense city in this place, and he has the at least stronger Conqueror's hockey than Fishman Island Luffy, which should be nothing for this guy, you just roll up and boop, and it's Jover for friggin' 50,000 people. Nothing. And to assume that, that's the only settlement on God's Valley, but, like, again, we're speculating too deep into it. 10,000 people should actually be only an issue because of the actual population of the island, and that's
Yeah,
kind of
I don't
disgusting
know
to
what
think
the
about.
points are, which is really tough to think about. But so during this, I'm not going to say necessarily distraction, but like during these shenanigans, um, Kuma just bends the bars free, and so he's maybe like 5, 6 years old, and he's just bending the steel bars like
Steel
it's
bars just.
nothing.
Motherfucker's gonna just
And,
dip.
and so what's and Cypher Pole, who is there, what they do is they order the other slaves who were imprisoned with Kuma to go hunt him down. And they do catch up to him. They do
Beat him
uh,
senseless.
capture.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
they
also
do
where we
beat
get the
him up
title of
to,
the episode is like, I would be better off. It just kill me here. Just kill me here.
yeah. But then we have two, I'll just say fabulous. That's a nice way of putting it.
Fabulous is the
Uh,
right word.
Fabulous individuals coming up on a hill that is above them. And it is two more slaves in Ivankov, young Ivankov, who still has a big ass head.
My favorite king slash queen of queers, and this is
Yep.
this is Julie
Jimmy.
Bonner's mom, Ginny. And she drops a line because like
Yes.
this is a thing we actually argued over with a second because I wanted to speculate on it, and that she calls Ivankov Big Brother Ivankov, which might be partially the Japanese translation of like my homie, or I like to think about it like this, her literal older brother, because I think that would make things
I
in One
don't
Piece
think
complicated.
so. I don't think in the literal DNA sense, brothers, because A, like Ivankov would have crashed out a lot harder once things happened to Ginny. I'm
Well,
not going to say what yet, but
thinking about it,
Ginny,
thinking about it, I mean, if we're gonna hold this spoiler off, he did as much as he possibly could. Ivankov is like he's pretty tough, and he joined up with the right people. He's done the right things to do what he can. But like, we're not gonna get a global level crash out like we might from like an admiral level person. He's just not admiral level. Kamabaka Land, being an island expressly led by him against the world government, is as much as we could reasonably expect of a guy like that. That and
yeah,
his contributions at Marineford and Impel Down were, I think, well, not I think were pretty objectively some of the most important moments of the story of One Piece, of saving Luffy's life, reviving him, bringing him back to full strength.
also, also just be, also I'll just say it, putting yourself back on the board in the
Absolutely.
game of because
He was
like
camping out in Impel
Ivankov was
Down.
just going to be chilling and impel down until Dragon made a move, which God knows when that would have been, and then you would have to get out of impel down.
Which,
I'm just going to say it. Luffy coming along really made it easier to
it's like the sky's cleared up. It's like, oh, now's
like
my time to leave. This is my time
yeah to
right
get
now.
yeah. So I because impel down like I know it's like oh well Luffy broke out like no Luffy didn't really break out. He just got really lucky that certain circumstances occurred. Like for
Really
example,
lucky.
getting a
Certain
warlord
circumstances.
to take him there in Boa. The fact that another warlord was locked up with Ace and wanted to save Ace in Jinbei. The fact that you had a Logia user in Crocodile there who could bust through the stone to free them after they shut down the elevators and trap them and closed off the staircase.
Well, also,
It's
we had
Jinbei.
a warlord in Jinbei to be indebted to Luffy at the behest of Ace just because Jinbei is a motherfucking G, and, like, he is Luffy's top guy. Like, if Ace didn't ask Jinbei, you couldn't replace those two people in this situation to back up Luffy, whom you also couldn't replace in this situation, to follow him to this situation.
Luffy, yeah, but also Luffy got lucky that Blackbeard pulled up and was pulling bullshit. And
To take the
also
heat
got
off him in the
lucky that
bottom.
Galdino and Buggy were causing some bullshit as well.
Yeah. Also, you have
Like-
Mr. Number 3 and Bon Clay, who,
Yeah, Galdino.
I gotta say it, I say it every time, I know if nobody's got me, I know Bon Clay's got me. Can I get an amen? But Bon Clay, the realest motherfucker out there.
Ivankov was and Ivankov got, not because Ivankov was part of that luck, but also rode the coattails of that luck and out, so Ivankov could do a lot of things, train Sanji, reestablish the Kumbakaland Kingdom, become back in the fold of the Revolutionary Army actively.
Yeah. Easy to forget about, but Ivankov was the one who hung out with Sanji during 3D2Y, meaning that Sanji and Ivankov are probably pretty close homies.
I don't know if Sanji would do that.
Well, when we say close homies, we're getting a little bit intimate.
Sanji boy.
Sanji boy. But, yeah, so the episode ends up wrapping up there, and that Ivankov rolls up and he offers him, do you want to go free?
Freedom.
And it hard cuts, like, right there. I think we get a close-up on Kuma's face, but it's like, bam. And I think I audibly yelled, fuck.
But then they're like, we have a plan. And it's not revealed what that plan is in this episode, but goddamn, next episode is going to be so fucking good. Curse you, Toei, for doing it on Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, it's sad piece time. It is sad piece time.
But it is going to be peak piece. We are getting at least part of the God Valley incident next week with the Rocks Pirates. The Roger Pirates. We see a younger Roger than we saw that in the Odin flashbacks. And they are looking amazing. It's really funny. Like, there's a freeze frame of Roger that we will undoubtedly have next week.
He's hot.
And he looks so much like Ace.
Dude, it is just Ace, and then he doesn't even have